This is the DeafBlind Potter Show, and my name is Kelvin Crosby, and I am the DeafBlind Potter. And if you're here to live beyond your challenges, you're at the right spot. So let's go on this journey and live beyond our challenges. Hey, it's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm so excited that you are here at the DeafBlind Potter Show. And we're going to be doing things a little bit different than what we normally do. We're not putting out the live feed. We're going to go ahead and pre-record it, and then it will be after the radio show. So that those at the radio show and listening to it live, you're going to get the first-hand experience, but those all on YouTube. And Rumble, you're going to get it after the show because we've been having a lot of technical difficulties. So we're going to start with there. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Kelvin Crosby, also known as the DeafBlind Potter. And I'm excited for our guest today because, honestly, the DeafBlind Potter didn't really come about until really this family that we're going to talk about today. And we have the dad here of the whole family, and we're going to be talking about this journey. And I'm excited to invite Aaron Harding to the radio show. Welcome, Aaron.
Hey, Calvin. How you doing, man? Thank you for having me
today. So I'm so excited. It's been a while since we've seen each other in person.
Yes, it has.
And I think what's going to be amazing about today's story is that people are going to be able to get to experience how the DeafBlind Potter came alive, but as well how your family is changing the world in a whole different way besides changing my life. And so why don't we start off, and kind of tell us a little bit about your family. Mm-hmm. You have 3 kids, you have a wife, and kind of tell us a little bit about kind of the dynamics of your family at the moment.
Yes, so I'm a retired Navy officer, served 28 years in the Medical Service Corps. My focus was laboratory medicine and transfusion medicine with several deployments. And our family, we moved a lot. So we moved a lot around the country. Our family experienced a lot of deployments and separation. But we have an amazing family who's really grown closer because of it. And it just says a lot about our family's ability to endure and persevere through challenges. And when I retired at the end of 2012, we settled in San Diego. What a better place to be. And we just have built a great community here. And it was in 2015 where our son Jackson was diagnosed with a rare disease. And we'll talk more about that. But my oldest daughter, Natalie, has been really a force working with Calvin. And we'll get more into that on TikTok and how things have exploded. And then my youngest daughter, Michaela, she loves pottery, and what's crazy about the connection we have in life is Calvin and my daughters went to the same high school and learned pottery from the exact same teacher, which they are so appreciative of the art of pottery. And again, it's a blessing to be able to watch Calvin do what he does with his vision loss. It's quite impressive.
Well, what's really interesting is, really starting the relationship with your family didn't necessarily start just with DeafBlind Potter. It started with my first guide dog, Jerry Dog. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know, my father's name is Jerry, and that's why we call the dog Jerry Dog, because that way when we go to prayer, we don't say, Jerry pray, and Jerry Dog will be bow wow, amen, right? And so my first guide dog, Jerry, He was such a calm and relaxing dog, and we would go to church, and this time Jackson was having difficulties in his getting into the church, but he would be so fascinated by Jerry Dog, so Jerry and I would just walk Jackson in the church and do that, and I think that was the first time where I really had encountered your family and be able to help your family.
Yeah.
And so kind of tell us a little bit about Jackson's challenges and kind of explain did I need to help you guys with that process, and kind of tell us a little bit about his challenges that he has.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Calvin, because that really was, I think, the beginning of the relationship that has grown even so deeper today. Jackson has a rare disease. There's not even 1,400 in the world and 385 in the United States. And he has the disorder is called SynGAP 1 related disorder. And it has a whole plethora of symptoms from autism and seizures, intellectual disability. He's nonverbal. He understands what's going on in the world. He has challenging behaviors and has a lot of difficulties transitioning even into the store and into different environments. And so that's when Calvin recognized what was going on and the challenges that Jackson had with transitioning. And so we would partner together, and Jerry Dog was right there, and Jackson really connected with Jerry Dog and was able to really make the transition for Jackson much easier, which really calmed him down. And that's what's amazing about service dogs, right? Is they're there to provide a lot of assistance, and one of those is emotional, and that was a huge starting point for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that was the beginning of the relationship, and I'll never forget where being able to pour into Jackson's life, even though it was nonverbal. See, that was the beauty of me being in the DeafBlind community. Is I've already worked with a lot of nonverbal individuals, and kind of having to work with some of those challenges and not be able to talk. But how do you work with these individuals and meet their needs where they're at? And that was something that was really cool for me to be able to pour into you guys as a family and also Jackson's life. And it really turned out to be this beautiful relationship that we ended up eventually building in 2020. And so I think this week is Rare Disease Awareness Week.
Yeah.
Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, we've, through a lot of the advocacy groups that are in Washington, D.C., we've kind of labeled Rare Disease Week this week because February 29th, and that only happens every 4 years. But we use the week of the end of February because of that to really highlight rare diseases that are not only in the neurodevelopmental space, like Jackson's SynGAP 1 related intellectual disability disorder, but it's Calvin having Usher syndrome, and if you've learned his story, and it just goes on. There's thousands of rare diseases, and not a lot of them have treatments, and there's a lot of science going into providing treatments. Other disorders that are in treatments are those who have infantile seizures, like Dravet syndrome. Another one, Angel syndrome. And in fact, I learned there's a company who's working on some eye disorders through some gene therapy, through antisense oligonucleotide. Big technical word there, but really trying to help the genetic cells function better and helping individuals recover from some of the severities of their symptoms and bring back life a little bit that they've lost in that way, those challenges.
Trying to find my mic. There we go. So if you don't know, I'm sitting on the potter wheel making a piece today. Currently, I'm at the point where I just centered the piece and just made the piece. I pulled it out, so the inside's hollow, ready to start building. So Aaron, kind of tell us, raising Jackson with his challenges, what were some of the things that you as a family had to come together to really start providing support? Well, we're coming into the break here, and I really want you to hear what's going to happen, how the DeafBlind Potter and the Harding family came together to change the world together. So we're going to see you on the other side. Hey, it's Kelvin here, and I want to tell you about my podcast, the Perseverance Podcast, where you as an individual can hear individuals persevere through their challenges that they have faced in their life. For example, the most famous Chippendale stripper and the #1 porn star in the world literally transformed his life and now is rescuing people from this industry and helping them find purpose in their life. Also, Casey Marsh, where she had a baby born without a brain and how she went through that grieving process. And lastly, one that's really fascinating is about Spencer Renfro, where he died and came back to life after driving 140 miles an hour. But when he died, he didn't come back alive the same. So you gotta go check out the Perseverance Podcast at perseverancepodcast.com and hear these stories and how people persevered through their challenges. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges and go to perseverancepodcast.com. Hey, it's Kelvin, the DeafBlind Potter, and I got an awesome guest for you. Before we get there, I just want to tell you where we're at in the pottery building process at the moment with today's show. So I've got the wheel moving, and we have the clay centered, and we just opened it up, ready to move forward, and I'm excited to kind of see where today's show is going to go. And so, Aaron, tell us a little bit about Michaela and how she really was wanting to use pottery as a healing mechanism during COVID, and kind of tell us a little bit about that story, and that will lead us to where we're at today.
Yeah, it all started before COVID, but which is amazing how what happened during COVID really continued our connection. I talked about Michaela, my youngest daughter, and she really wanted to get back into pottery. She was, a competitive gymnast and was very, busy, but she just really enjoyed pottery. So she was asking me about wanting to buy a wheel and being able to spin and do the pottery, and I said, well, you just need to call Calvin, because, we knew about Calvin and we'd gone and seen a lot of his shows in the San Diego area. And I said, if you want to know anything about pottery, talk to Calvin. And so she reached out to Calvin. And I think next thing we knew, Calvin had been sitting on pottery for a little bit. And so he had the wheel available, and we turned one of our sheds that are part of the side of our house. We made it into a pottery studio. And I think that was just sort of the spark of transitioning pottery into the Harding family, where, we did that at the end of 2019.
What was interesting about this time, like I had been building the See Me cane at this point, and I really was trying to focus on that business. But at the same point, I've lost all the clarity in my vision. So when Michaela reached out to me, like, I really need to get back on the pottery wheel to heal through my own pain. And so that's how I made the deal. I said, I'll come over once a week or once a month, and it turned out to be like 3 times a week. But it was one of those. And then your oldest daughter, Natalie, started taking a video. And that's when we put it on TikTok. Yeah. And that's when everything changed.
It really did, right? I mean, I think the shed is on the side of our house, so Calvin had an open invitation to come over whenever he wanted to, and he'd give us a heads up. And again, he could do it without distracting Jackson, because again, oftentimes we were maybe in therapy with Jackson or things were happening with the family. But yeah, I think Natalie was in her business school, so she was studying at San Diego State with a business major. And she loved sort of the media aspect of things, but she's very creative and it's very high energy. So Natalie really just kind of saw what Calvin was doing and really kind of presented that idea of let's do TikTok, right? And I think Natalie really worked hard with Calvin to try to bring Calvin's vision for the DeafBlind Potter, and that whole idea of the DeafBlind Potter was evolving, right? I mean, in these early days of end of 19 and early 2000 before COVID hit, but but yeah, it was a beautiful thing to kind of watch our families, Calvin and the girls, really begin to mold into what and form. I mean, it's like clay. It was forming this relationship, and it was a beautiful thing to watch and share with one another.
And I think I gotta find my mic. I lost it. There it is. It's being blind and running a radio show and doing pottery at the same time. It just makes sure you don't lose your mic. So, as we did this, see, this is then where my relationship with Jackson changed, and him and I started building this relationship where he knew I had challenges and he had challenges, and we would work together and sit on the potter wheel and start shaping clay together and making, and that's where this whole idea for me was like, wow.
Yeah.
I actually, because I could help people like him take clay and turn it into possibly a career for them somehow. And that's where the DeafBlind Potter School idea came about. But at the same time, in the background, you were starting to develop a nonprofit that would help Jackson in his future. So before we kind of go into how Jackson and I and the DeafBlind Potter School, I want to focus a little bit more on the nonprofit that you ended up building and kind of where that took you.
Yeah, so I think we saw Jackson. He would often be interested in what was happening on the side of the house. So he would often walk outside on his own, and he was very interested in watching the girls and Calvin do pottery. And I think over some time, we encouraged Jackson to participate. So I think he really wasn't interested initially, but it became something. It was amazing. I think I don't remember which TikTok it was, but yeah, we got Jackson into it, and we kind of introduced, these two rare diseases, one, deaf and blind, and then another one that could see and could hear, but had these other physical challenges. And really through the sensory part of what pottery did was Jackson, you could just see him light up. And that was really what was amazing. I've been involved since our diagnosis with the SynGAP one-related disorder, I've been involved in advocacy since 2016. And I'm involved with the SynGAP Research Fund. And we're a family-led organization. We just, in fact, got done with our board meeting in Washington, D.C. and our planning meeting. And we're out to our goal is to help families, not only the children and many adults afflicted with or who have SynGAP one related disorder, but to help the family cope, because it's a tough journey for families, can be, and but I think pottery provides a sensory input that is very calming and a very powerful tool that Jackson quite had an affinity to. We've been trying to work with Jackson to start a business because we have a family who they make soap, and they're a business, and is to make soap. And we were looking at how could we contribute, and they heard about it, and we've been trying to continue to work with Jackson to be able to make the bowls or the dishes for the soap as part of the journey of those who have intellectual disability and challenges, which I'll share more on, which is amazing. Is there's a purpose in life, right? And from a working perspective.
Well, I think when Jackson and I got on the wheel for the first time, we didn't record it. It was just him and I goofing around, making something. And then what we were starting to realize is how this was starting to change the way how I started seeing things. I'm like, this was a really cool opportunity. But as well, figuring out how, using his challenges to kind of weigh out, like, how can I use his challenges and be able to create something out of clay with that? Because is he really good at stroking, or using a stick, or just things that he enjoys,
Right.
and making it into a repetition type of thing that is muscle memory and building that memory over and over and over and over again. And that was where him and I were starting to really build this relationship. I mean, I think at one point we were trying to make soap bowls at one point, and that video is what led to me getting a guy to come out and actually make a documentary about me opening a pottery school to not just help people who are blind and deafblind, but also those with intellectual disabilities, and that really made an impact in my life. And so kind of tell us a little bit more about the nonprofit. How does the nonprofit work? And like, if people wanted to really do a deep dive, where they find you, how does the nonprofit work for you guys?
Yeah. Before I could do that, I just want to share one thing about the pottery, right? So when Jackson was interacting with Kelvin, when they were interacting, Kelvin would often have built up this beautiful piece, and Jackson would just kind of come in and sort of ruin it, I mean, but it really says a lot about life, right? And our relationship, and our, journey, our Christian life journey, about, how these beautiful things happen. And then there are things that come in and make life challenging for us. Right. And I think that's been the case with Jackson having this SynGAP 1 related disorder, is that we didn't, that wasn't an expectation for our life. No family who has a child who's born who has, whether these different challenges, you don't plan for it. It happens to you. And so I think, these interactions between Jackson and Kelvin sort of represent life, and how, we can help each other and work with one another to build through the messiness of life, and how a relationship with Christ is powerful, and bringing that bond, that common bond between us.
And I think through that journey, when we were starting to really build this brand, it really started kind of making a major difference, because I started realizing if I'm persevering, I can help somebody else persevere. And that led to other people persevering through their own challenges, and it led through Jackson and I learning how to do that how to persevere with each other. And then it really just kind of became this whole model: go live beyond your challenges.
Right.
And here we are.
Here we are, right?
Like 4 years later, it's crazy that it's been. Oh no, 3. It's almost 4 years.
4 years, but it's been over 4 years.
Yeah, and how this kind of came about because Jackson and I decided that we're gonna work together, and him being, I mean, he's a character, and he got a major personality.
He does.
And he wants his way, or you're gonna get the highway.
Right.
And but he has such a soft heart too.
Yeah. And
that's when I think about Jackson, and the time that we worked together before I moved into the studio that I'm in now. Because that's been the sad part. Me moving into my studio is that I don't get to go over you guys' houses often, and so this relationship hasn't been able to continue to grow because he's now 18, right?
Yeah, he turned 18 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. We'll maybe in the next commercial, after the commercial, we'll dive into that. What is it like dealing with intellectual challenges, and how is that gonna, as an adult? Because I think that could be really beneficial. By the way, if you're getting something out of this today from this show, in the DeafBlindPotterShow.com is a interview I did with Nathan Davis, and in there is resources for those that live in the Greeley surrounding area in Colorado, where you can have rapid care for 2 hours every Tuesday. I think it's from 6 to 8 every Tuesday, and you can bring your adult child to the rapid care, and Nathan, his whole program that he's doing provides that service. So that's all at DeafBlindPotterShow.com. If you have an adult child that has intellectual challenges. I don't really like the word disability, so I just use challenges. And so if you do, definitely go to deafblindpotters.com or deafblindpottershow.com to get that information. So, Aaron, so you raise your family with a son that had intellectual challenges. Were there times where you and I don't know if I'm going to step on toes here or not, but were there times where it was tough to give your girls the attention that they needed because you were taking care of Jackson's needs, but you didn't, once you realized that, you're like, I got to really take care of my daughters too?
Yeah. We'll talk about that on the break, right?
Yep. So when we get on the other side of the break, we'll dive into this a little bit, and then on the other side of that, we'll also dive into where Jackson's going today. Have you ever wondered, without your vision, how you would cross the street? I am the deaf-blind Potter. I've been hit by a car 3 times in my life. It's said that 87 million people in this world will have the same experience as I have. But I started working on a solution to help solve this problem of blind individuals from getting hit by a car. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a solution that allows you to see me from 100 yards away. It's called the See Me cane, the lighted blind cane. The See Me cane is simple to use. It has an on and off button, a vibration button that tells you that the light is on or off, and has magnetic charging on the top. And it feels just like a normal blind cane. I need your help to donate to the See Me cane, so that way those that are visually impaired can get a See Me cane and live beyond their challenges. Go to seemecane.com to donate today. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges. Hey, it's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. My name is Kelvin Crosby, also known as the Deaf-Blind Potter. And where are we at in the pottery building process at the moment in today's show? Well, I have made the piece centered. I have opened it up. I have brought in the clay up. And now it's going to get a little taller, and we're going to move on to shaping it toward the end of the show. And I gotta tell you, I'm excited about my guest today because honestly, we're going back in the memory lane of how the Deaf-Blind Potter got started. But now, what I want to pick up is some of the challenges that Aaron and his family had in raising their daughters with a son that had intellectual challenges. So, Aaron, kind of pick us up from there.
Thank you, Calvin. I want to first recognize that the solid person in our family is, my wife, Monica. She's been a stay-at-home mom. Even, she has her degrees and has a master's degree, but she's been committed to caring for our children, and we're just have been fortunate enough to have the resources to be able for her to do that. So when we've always kind of kept our daughters at bay of Jackson as he kind of grew older. I mean, they loved their little brother, but as things evolved, he didn't walk till he was almost 2. He was in therapy starting at 9 months, 1 year of age. And he's been in therapy ever since, being 18 now. So 17 years of being in therapy waiting rooms. But, my wife has been the mainstay for navigating and managing it for our family. And I don't know where we would be without the opportunity for her to be a full-time caregiver to Jackson and our daughters. And so, we've always worked really hard, especially with some of the challenging behaviors, is to keep our girls' activities as normal as possible. As I mentioned earlier, Michaela was a competitive gymnast, so she was in the gym 3 to 5 to 6 days a week. Natalie was she swam and then got interested in diving, so she was always in the pool. And always, making, when you're a military family and you're moving every 3 years or so, they're having to redevelop relationships. So our girls are amazing. And when we got involved to kind of bring back about the foundation, is the SynGAP Research Fund started in 2018 when Mike and Ashley Gralia, their son, started having seizures. And they really realized, again, this is their first child, right? So, we'd had the privilege of having 2 children who were developing, and with Jackson, that changed our world because, but for them and other families, they had a first child, and it's like, they certainly didn't expect that. They since have had a second child who is beautiful. And in fact, what's amazing about the relationships that we have with the family is, and this is true, is when the sibling families get together, which we saw this back in November at a conference where we had a family meetup, is our daughter takes the youngest son, John, and they go off and they're siblings, and she takes care of him and gives him everything that, that maybe sometimes he doesn't have the opportunity because some of the restrictions of diet that is limited for Tony. But I think it takes a community to really raise a child with special needs, and I think that's where we found our church, right? When we decided where to move back to and retire, San Diego was it, because we had a great community in our church as well. And we knew that when our time came to pass, that we would want Jackson to be a part of that community, and that we knew that community would be able to help be watchful of him. And so that was such a privilege. So I'm so appreciative of our church community. I'm, very blessed and appreciative of our SynGAP Research Fund community that really comes together and supports each other through a journey that can be challenging. And Monica and I support each other through tough times and the great times. And so it definitely is something that you really it takes time to bring about. And again, I think that's why the idea that we came together through the pottery was so powerful, because of what pottery is about in the molding and the shaping of our lives, and how other people come into it. And again, it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I think what was pretty amazing is when I came in, Jackson had just turned 15, and what I realized at that point was he was facing some challenges that were difficult.
Yes.
And a lot of times we would have to work with that, and that there were times where, like, all he wanted was me. And I'm like, a blind guy and intellectual challenges together, and how well is it going to be? Like, but bro time became a real thing.
Yeah.
Where, like, he's a bro, I'm a bro, yeah, we're cool, and right. It was awesome, right. And it was one of those, like, wow, like, God really had that time, and I honestly, I think it was perfect timing. And I mean, it was also this time where we just brought in our second foster son, and your girls were huge in giving me support with that as well, even your family as a whole. Yeah. And I mean, it was a really beautiful thing. And so now, as we are now, obviously we're several years removed. Mm-hmm. And it's been a little while since I've kind of stayed up to date with you guys, but I heard a rumor that there's a video coming out, or a documentary.
Yeah, so we have been in the process of working on doing a film about Jackson and our family's journey in as it relates to the SynGAP1 related disorder and all of the various challenges that it's posed, as an opportunity to kind of reflect on it, even in some of the most uncomfortable parts of life when you're dealing with challenging behaviors. But I think the film really is an opportunity to help future families. We're terribly underdiagnosed, in the United States, and I would say there's health equity issues within minority groups that are not getting diagnosed. We're about 1%, about 0.5 to 1%, 1 to 2%, depending on the study, of the intellectual disability population. That's a big number. We're supposed to be a lot up around the numbers of Fragile X, another neurodevelopmental disorder. And again, it's an opportunity to help educate families to connect with it. The connection. The movie really is titled about connection is everything. And again, when you think about connection is everything, it really draws into all of the senses of our life. But one of the most powerful senses, I think, touch and love. Right? There's a lot of studies about not having contact, and what the impact of that is. So I think it's the emotional support, it's the physical support of embracing and knowing that you're there. But yeah, this film on Jackson, Connection is Everything, is just about done, and actually it's being helped be produced by an organization here in San Diego called Options for All, and so I'll talk a little bit more about that because it's another powerful connection of people coming together.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned because you're going to hear a little bit more about that. And I got to tell you about my documentary too. So, and that's coming out next Monday. So, see you on the other side. Hey there. This is Kelvin here. And I want to tell you about DeafBlindPotter.com. Well, what are you going to get there when you arrive? You're going to see me. And you're also going to have the experience of all the pottery behind me, the pottery that's in the kiln, all of those experiences where you're going to see mugs, you're going to see heart bowls, you're going to see vases, you're going to see pots, you're going to see bowls. And you can go ahead and purchase it there, and I'm going to get it to you as soon as I can, so that way you can have the experience of feeling the tactile experience of a deaf-blind potter piece. Did you know those 3 rings on every piece of mine? The first ring represents joy. The second ring represents the perseverance that you're going to have to face in your life. And third is the character that you have to build when you find joy in your pain. And the whole piece is your hope to keep moving forward. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, because that's exactly what I want you to do when you have the tactile experience, when you feel a deaf-blind potter piece. So go to DeafBlindPotter.com and get your deaf-blind potter pieces today. And while you're there, if you want a shirt, hat, or hoodie, you can also get Deaf-Blind Potter merch there as well. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you just in a second. Hey, it's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day. If you hear that water, because I had to wash my hands so I can move my headset. So I'm sorry, because I have a sink trap in there. So we're gonna hear a little bit of water draining at the moment. And yeah, so if you're just joining us and you're just tuning in, I have a special guest, Aaron Harding, here, and we're talking about SynGAP, and we're just now diving into the story of your guys' documentary. Yeah. So kind of take it away from here.
Yeah, I probably should clarify. When you say SynGAP, it's like, how do I spell SynGAP, right? Well, it's SYNGAP. So, and it's a fancy name for a protein in the body. But so Options for All, I learned about them through some searching for someone to do a production of a film on Jackson because we believe the SynGAP Research Fund believes we need to tell our stories and help educate families and the journey. So they're actually a nonprofit organization here in San Diego that adults with physical challenges that have autism, high functioning, to be able to learn media and production, to be able to get jobs and work. And so I felt very connected to their mission and vision, and kind of where it was a cool relationship to connect in that way. And so very thankful for the team at Options for All for being a part of it and helping us tell the story. And yeah, that film, we're in the final cuts and cleanup, and we're getting ready to talk about our premiere for that and setting up the logistics for that.
Well, I had no idea they existed, so I might have to throw a word out to them after this is all done. Cause I think it would be cool to do a full-length documentary. Because the one that's coming out for me is for the DeafBlind Potter School, and that's going to be about a 3-minute documentary picked up by a film festival in London, out of all places. Cool. I'm like, okay. And we're expecting quite a big turnout. And going viral before in my life, this is... I don't know if I got time to go viral a second time or a whole nother way, but we're gonna run with it. So, but what is awesome is that with Jackson's documentary and what this is supposed to do is to really help bring awareness to this.
Yeah,
and I think it's hard to bring awareness to this issue because, one, it's a rare disease, and two, how many people really get to interact with somebody like this. And I know for myself, I didn't know somebody that had Usher syndrome, even type 2, until I was 19 years old. No, 20.
Right.
I was 20 years old the first time I met somebody with Usher syndrome type 2. And I mean, it was eye-opening, but I'm like, I hope I don't end up like that. Well, I got there faster than that guy did. But in losing my vision and clarity and all that set of issues. But at the same time, it's amazing to see how you guys, I mean, if you ever see Natalie and Michaela work with Jackson, it's incredible. Okay. And there are some awesome sisters that really believe in Jackson and who he is as an individual, but as well wanting to give him opportunities. And I think that's a huge deal. So I'm hoping, when you premiere the video, I'm hoping to bring you back on so we can talk all about that. And you're thinking in the next month or so?
I think in the next month or so we should have that the logistics of that planned, and I'll get back to you, because that would be a great opportunity and to do that. You know, because we do have we have a number of families in the Colorado area. Yeah. And so so that'd be exciting.
Well, and I think even if we did a kind of like a collab with Nathan's program and with you guys, so before I'm going to change subject really drastically here, but tell us a little bit what it's like raising an adult intellectual challenge child. Yeah, I don't know how to say that.
No, it's okay. I think, raising an adult, the adult transition is unique. It's there's no playbook for it. You go through the courts for conservatorship. Every individual should have the full rights of their capabilities, of their cognitive capabilities, to participate in society to the greatest extent possible with the least of limitations, the most unrestricted environment. If you talk about your IEPs that we've been through and educational environment, is you want them to be in the most unrestricted environment. And so, Jackson's would be mod to severe. And so, the great thing we have here in San Diego is there's a legal clinic that helps guide families through it, or you can go see your lawyer. But that's the first really big transition step into it early. I know families who, life gets busy. and it's hard to get to. But that's your first big step, is getting through the conservatorship, and then having to have the special needs trust in place and having the assets that you have protected for that child. And also so as not to impede on, their Social Security that they're going to get to help them, live life, and then how you protect that to supplement what they're going to get, right? Yeah. And so I think that's sort of a big challenge. And then they're in school up till they turn 22, and then they transition to adult programs. We're not quite there yet. Lots of discussions, and the honestly the $10 million plus question is where's Jackson going to live?
Yeah.
Every community is impacted by the support of where their child will live. Now, most of them I would probably argue, would probably live with their family, and their family will care for them. There's group homes, which would be appropriate for some, and then maybe some other types of services, but they're not all equal. And so this is something that families have to wrestle with, and it's one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah. So stay tuned, because we're going to wrap up the show on the last part of this, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the DeafBlind Potter documentary coming out. All right? See you on the other side. Hey there, it's Kelvin here, and I want to hear from you. Are you living beyond a challenge right now, or are you trying to live beyond a challenge? I want to be here for you. I want to walk through this journey with you. I want to encourage you to find joy in the challenge that you're facing, and help you persevere by taking that step and building the character that has hope. And by doing that, it's going to change your life. So I need you to email me at contact@deafblindpotter.com and tell me about your challenge. And together, we will live beyond your challenge. I will walk through you with your journey, and possibly you might come on my radio show or my podcast, and we will work through it, and even my fans will help you as well live beyond your challenges. But most of all, we need to work on you first before anything else, so that way you are successful in living beyond your challenges. So that is contact@deafblindpotter.com, and you can email me there, because I'm the only one that checks that email, and it's all confidential. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you in just a second. Hey, it's Kelvin here, and I am the DeafBlind Potter, and we're at the last segment. So, Aaron, if people want to learn more about the documentary and everything about SynGAP, where do they need to go?
Yep. The SynGAP Research Fund, our website is curesyngap1.org. That's CureSyngap1.org. And you can learn all about SynGAP 1 from a clinical perspective, the science of it. And if you know somebody who is not diagnosed with a genetic disorder or something that might be what we call non-syndromic, there might be an opportunity to gravitate to that.
And the other thing is, all that link will be in the descriptions on the YouTube and the Rumble, and also at the deafblindpottershow.com. And if you're getting this on the podcast, just go to deafblindpottershow.com, so that way you can get it on the website there. So, all right, let's get into the documentary. So the documentary is coming out on Monday. So it's going to be a rush of a time, and it's going to be coming from London into the United States. It's going to be interesting to watch how fast the thing grows, if it grows at all. Well, we'll have to see what God does. But it's going on a channel that has over 2 million followers right now, and it's supposed to do something. So I'm hoping it does well. And what is the whole goal behind this? And it is to build a pottery school for me to help like people like Jackson and other people with intellectual challenges, as well as those who are deaf-blind and also blind, to be able to come into a pottery studio, take the pottery, and use it as a healing tool, but as well a tool to further make a career into it, and they can start mass producing their stuff, their product, their pieces, whatever, as well, be able to really make change in their own lives, so that way they can encourage others as well to live beyond their challenges. And I'm super excited about it. So if you want to get a head start, you got to go to school.deafblindpotter.com, and that's going to get you directly access to the email list that you need to get on, and the donation page that's right there. And that's where you're going to be able to follow the journey to me finding the right property. And we're looking at probably about $100,000 to be able to cover the first 2 years of a down payment on a lease here in San Diego. And so this way, those that have intellectual challenges and deaf blindness can easily get there by public transit. And so what we're trying to do is get enough money so we can make a deposit and then start building the deaf blind potter dream that I have for the school, to really impact those and give them the opportunity to overcome their challenges. And I truly, I'm excited to see how God's going to use this. This kind of came out of the blue, so forgive me for my deaf-blind web development skills, but I think I've done a pretty good job. Obviously, you can navigate it with a screen reader, so that's better than half the websites out there. But at the same time, I'm excited for you to see how God, and following this journey, how God's going to use this to not only further my journey, but as well further those with intellectual challenges and deaf blindness and blindness to live beyond theirs. So, Aaron, are there any last words that you would like to share with everybody?
Yeah, Kelvin, I just want to say thank you to you and your audience for the opportunity to share our connectedness, where, again, connection is everything, and how we've loved on each other and in this life. So again, peace be with you. Peace be with your the people out there in the world, and just love on each other. Be kind and love each other.
All right. Well, that wraps up the Deaf Blind Potter Show. And like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you next Monday. That wraps up the Deaf Blind Potter Show. Thanks for joining me, and share this video and encourage somebody to live beyond their challenges, so that way we all can persevere through the struggles of life and overcome the challenges and have hope to live beyond our challenges. I'll see you next time.